Hey. You know what time it is.
It's time for the Heart to Heart Journey to Unconditional Love podcast.
That's right. I am your host, Delay Bloomer. That is my co-host, Harlan Brown. And Harlan Brown, what's up?
How are you? What's going on? What it do?
Man, after the 1 year anniversary, man, I am so blessed that we started another year. Man, I'm so excited about the journey to unconditional love and this heart-to-heart conversations that we have each and every week with our audiences. Again, we thank you for everything. Had a
Yes.
wonderful time in that that anniversary special podcast. But what's going on? Like, what we getting into today? What we talking about? What we need to hit the audience with, because they need something.
Yes, they do need something. Let's talk about
Mm.
selfishness.
Okay, so I'm gonna name this one buzzwords. But I gotta flip it. The late bloomer gotta flip things a little differently. So we're gonna talk about buzzwords, and the reason why I put that buzzwords in there is because you talk about selfishness. That's a buzzword. You can't have that in a relationship. Um, you just can't. And there's certain buzzwords that when you are either beginning a relationship, in the middle of a relationship, already married, already engaged, just starting a relationship, whatever it is with your partner, your spouse, your significant other, there are buzzwords to look for, which will give you that. Ooh, wait a minute. I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but it should give you a cause to pause. We'll say that. I know,
Yeah.
and you started. So you where do you want to start? You want to start with that word selfish, or you want to start with another word? I know you got some buzzwords that you've come across.
Well, I mean, I do like I we can start with selfish, but I was just using that as an example of, that's not necessarily a buzzword, but there are selfish behaviors, right? So there's
Yeah,
not necessarily that I'm say I'm selfish, but if everything is about me in a relationship, then yeah, that's my selfishness, my self-absorbing, me being self-absorbed and not necessarily thinking about the other person. So I think a lot of times it may not just be a word, it could be an action, it could be how somebody treats you, or how things develop, when especially when somebody else is very much self-centered and not putting any thought or consideration into the feelings of the other person. So that's what I was saying.
yeah, absolutely. And in the podcast, we've talked about this several times. We talked about some of the foundational pieces of knowing that you're in a good relationship. And one of the things is being selfless. There's no way you could be selfish in a relationship. And I know a lot of people say, well, if I'm not selfish, how do I get what I want? Well, your selflessness will get you what you need and what you want,
Yeah,
by
I
you
agree.
being selfless. And if your partner is selfless too, again, this only works if both parties are on the same page. If you're both practicing selfless love, which is unconditional love, which is that you're doing for the other person and you don't want anything in return, then you're on a path to a great relationship. Again, coupled with that foundation of your relationship being on solid ground with God. So, what do you think about that? And when we talk about selflessness, there, Holland Brown.
It's true. There is a level of you have to be selfless, because coming together with somebody else is not about one person, it's about uniting as one. And then in that uniting as one, there is a lot of self that you have to be selfless, because you can't do that while you are holding on to the things that must be, stringent for your life, right? Because you have to realize you're combining two lives, right? So it's not just your life, it's the other
Yeah.
person's life as well. So I think a lot of people don't look at that, because we feel like, oh, I'm going to be in a relationship. And this is the funny part. I know a lot of people who are like, yeah, I'm in a relationship, but but you act single. So are you in a relationship or are you single? So if you're single, then be single and don't have
Yeah.
somebody thinking that they're in a relationship. Just gotta be
Yeah.
single. I mean, it's not a big deal because that to me that's very selfish because I've seen it a lot of times and we talked about it on previous podcasts where you see
Yeah.
two people together and me and you are good, but you can't be involved in this part of my life and you can't be a part of this part of my life. But we still together. As long as you don't see nobody, I don't see
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
all the time. But I still go out with my friends because they was my friends before I knew you. So that's cool. Like it's such a double standard when it comes
Yeah.
to certain things. And I
Yeah.
think if you if you just took an ounce of being selfless and put that person in if you just stepped in their shoes for a second and go, hey, how does this person feel? How would this person feel in this situation if they knew that this was going on, right? Because a
Right.
lot of times we do stuff and because we can get away with it, and then I can't get caught. How would you feel if you was that person? Would you really
Right.
want them to be doing the same things that you're doing? And I think
Absolutely.
that's part of the selflessness. That's part of the, you know what, I can get away with it, but why would I do that? Because
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be put in that position either. I
Yeah.
couldn't know, nobody would know, but I would know. So that there's my integrity in that, right? And how could I look somebody in the eye with and call myself having integrity and putting this person on a standard of being, having that same integrity when you're not looking, I can do whatever I want to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. I mean, I thank you for that, man. That's a really good insight to what we're talking about and what we want to get in this podcast so far as buzzwords are concerned. So I'm gonna go on to another one that's a hit, and that's you. Did you use? I'm gonna use that. That's a buzzword, because when you go to your partner and say you starting out with you, and I mean, it was like you are not, you don't, you always, you never. When you starting out sentences like that, that does not bode well for a relationship and a journey to unconditional love. So be conscious of some of the words that you're using, especially the you word. What do you think about when people use the you word
I think when
in
you use
relationships?
I think soon as the you come out, the you is to specifically point out something that the person feels that you need to get better, not something that I may have thought that, well, that's just a reaction from this, or that's
Well,
a
it depends.
that's but if I'm always saying, well, you always you never, and why you don't, and everybody else do, but you never, and this one don't, and this one, and you and but see, that's the thing. Like if you're in a relationship, how about we sit down and have a conversation about how things are going, right? Why is it a you and a me? Why isn't it a we?
Yeah,
We are
yeah,
struggling in this area. We need to really resolve this because this is a we. I can't say, you know what, you don't communicate with me. So I mean,
yeah,
we
yep.
we we have communication, we have some communication challenges. So come on, let's sit down. Because at the end of the day, when you come to me and say you don't do this and you are not doing this or you don't communicate, that doesn't make me feel very open to communicate. What it does is it puts up my defenses, it puts up this wall that
Yeah,
says, well, maybe I don't communicate. Well, what do you want me to say? Like it's not what I want you to say, it's how we communicate. Our
yes,
communication is off. I want to make this better. I didn't bring
yeah,
it up because I want to argue about it. I brought it up because I wanted to seriously sit down and have a conversation about it. And I think when we use you, we're pointing a finger.
yeah.
Not me. You.
You, yeah.
So
And I'm gonna throw something in there, and I'm glad you said that because I think is a lot of times, we talked about with other couples, and they're saying that they went to couples therapy, got some, got some relationship therapy, wanted to go to counseling, but the way that it's approached is like I want us to go to counseling, right? But it's I want us to go to counseling. And then they wonder why it doesn't work, because they're coming in as, I want us to go to counseling, as opposed to, let's sit down, let's talk about it, and we decide that we want to go to counseling. You know,
And I think that's the first step. I think most people run to counseling, and I'm gonna say, and you know, let the chips fall where they may. But I feel like a lot of people run to counseling because they need that non-objective person, right?
yeah,
And basically, what I've seen in a lot of couple in group counseling, and I'm not a couple, so I never had to go to couples counseling. But what I hear, what I've seen in a lot of couples counselings, especially
yeah,
when I'm looking at different scenarios, it's me having an opportunity to vent my opinion, my spouse having an opportunity to vent their opinion, and the therapist sits there and writes down notes. And then they give you little practices. How about when you get home today, you try doing this. When this person says this and it triggers you, tell them to do this or do approach things differently.
yeah.
If you could be able to sit down and do that within your relationship, you wouldn't need counseling
Oh,
because you
I
have
was trying to hold my tongue. I was trying to hold my tongue. Go ahead. Go ahead.
if you can sit down and do that with your spouse, that's everything, right? That's the communication. That's the selflessness. That's the, hey, I want to see what's going on. What is the problem? I want to know how we can fix it. I'm not going to say how you can fix it. I'm going to say, how can we fix this? How can we work on this? How can we build from this? It's
Yes.
only going to make us stronger if we can sit down and have that conversation and say, this is what we want to do. But then be honest. Like, just because the other person is upset and emotional doesn't mean that you can't
Yeah.
be truthful. Like, I know this hurts you. I know this is bothersome, and I know we're going through this, and this is what's happening. But if you want to be truthful and say, but I'm not really into this anymore, just be honest, like rip the
Yeah.
band-aid off. Because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, when you just okay, if when you go along to get along, you're only
Yeah.
compiling. And I saw
Well,
this lady say it one time,
yeah.
and it hit me hard. She said
Yeah.
that's just death by a billion paper cuts. So
Yeah.
could you
And
imagine it's just paper cuts, right? And you just taking them going, it's okay, it's just a paper cut. Now you
yeah.
bleeding out because you got
Yeah.
a billion of them, right?
Yeah.
So
I,
let's not have any paper cuts in a relationship, and let's talk about it so we can resolve it. Let's talk about it
yeah.
so we
Yeah.
can have.
And I want to stay on that. I know we talk about buzzwords, but now that we got into the counseling thing, I'm not against counseling. If you need it, please go. But I know a lot of times, and I've talked to a lot of people who've gone to couples counseling. The first time that, and this could be the person that the spouse chose. If the spouse chose this person, and the first time that counselor goes against what they say, they're ready to end the counseling, get the counseling session, and it was their idea to go to counseling in the first place. So that's one of the reasons why I don't believe in the counseling in that fashion. But I'm never going to tell nobody not to go. I believe if you're selfless in your relationship, there's no need for a counselor, because you understand that this is a journey to unconditional love. You have unconditional love for that person, and you're selfless, and you can talk about anything that you need to talk about. If you hit a snag, because you have the foundations and the principle of God, you can get through anything. Again, this all goes with the other person being on the same page. But this is why you have your conversations. This is why you focus on people when you get with them and talk to them, because it's a marathon. This is not a sprint to kids or whatever. If you talk about marriage, when you decide to go into marriage, it's long term, it's forever. So those who are in the beginning of a relationship, look at these buzzwords and understand that these buzzwords could be very instrumental in you understanding how to proceed in a relationship, where to go in a relationship. Not that you have to walk on pins and needles, not that you have to really watch what you say, but if it comes from your heart, these are words that you don't want to use, because you don't want to put anybody on the defensive. You don't want to put nobody, make them feel belittle you. Another part I was going to say, controlling, um, is another word, or possessive. These are buzzwords. Multitasking. Like if somebody tell you, "Oh, I can talk to you and multitask," stop. cut them off. Cut them off, because then they're not giving you a safe space and a safe environment to have a conversation in order for you to move on to resolve issues. Because I think most people, and I'm just going on what I know from my experiences, and we've been doing this podcast for a year, and I will go on that. So we've seen a lot of things, but most people want to win the argument. They don't want to resolve the issue. They want to walk out of the door when they go to the counselor and they go into the counseling session. I told you you need to do this, and she told you or he told you you needed to do it too. They want confirmation that they were right, as opposed to I want to resolve the issue and really get to the root of the issue and be selfless about it. And it's no one up on another person or whatever. It's, hey, together we resolve this. We got to the main issue. Thank the counselor, or thank whoever you need to thank, that we got to that point. So I say that, and I wanted to do a thing on buzzwords, because when you use the words that we talked about, the I's, I deserve, I want, I this, I that, not working. You don't, you are not, you always, you never, not multitasking, like, trying to be on your phone, trying to work, doing this, or the word trying. If somebody's telling you they're trying, and I want to end with that, because that's what this podcast is all about. If you listen to my podcast, trying will keep you in the same place. It's when you actually do something that your place has no limitation. So if you tell your partner, I'm going to try to be better, walk away. If you're early in a relationship, walk away. Just walk away. If you're in a middle relationship, start understanding and getting your affairs together, because you might have to be filing for divorce. You know what I'm saying? Because if somebody is saying they're trying and they're not actually doing anything to make that relationship better, it ain't gonna work. Especially if you have selfishness in it, which is that other buzzword. So I'm gonna end on that note, but I'm gonna give you the last words there, Harlan Brown, because I know our time is up. But I love this. I think we need to expand more on this, and we're gonna talk after this and just see if we need to talk, have another podcast about this, because there's some other words that I wanted to get to, but those main ones were the ones that I think will get people a jump start to understanding. I got to take this out of my vocabulary so that I can have a good relationship. So I'm gonna give you the last words. What you got to say?
I think you're spot on.
I'm sorry. Before you go there, we got to get the scripture. We cannot do anything without the scripture. So we're going 1 Corinthians 10 and 24. Can you read that for the audience?
Sure.
Brown.
No one should seek their own good, but the good of others.
Man, if that doesn't help you, no one should seek their own good, but the good of others. So I'm always wanting to see, I always want to see the good of my partner. Always. You should always seek to see the good of your partner, but not your own good. That's what unconditional love is. That's what selfless love is. And that is a key to successful relationships. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to get what you want. Please don't think that you're always going to be this and that. You don't get anything in return. That's where your partner comes in, because you focus, you pray to God, and you put your foundation on God, your relationship foundation on God. So that person is the person that is going to be selfless, is going to understand, is not going to use these buzzwords to hurt or harm you, or not looking to win an argument. They're looking to resolve an issue that you have, because we're going to have issues because we are human. But it's what we do with those issues and what we do when we resolve those issues that is going to make or break us in a relationship. So now I'm going to give you the last words there, all around. I do apologize. What we got?
I was just going to piggyback on what you said about therapy. I don't want to come off as I'm anti-therapy. I think therapy is helpful for those people who use it in the correct way. It's not for the therapist to be your referee. It's for you and your partner. And this is what I'm saying. If you and your partner, before you even decide to go to therapy, if y'all can talk, then you would see that you could probably, that 9 times out of 10, you can resolve the issue that you
Or
have.
practice selflessness.
And while as you're going into it and you're talking and you're realizing like, hey, I see where, I can see my part in this and we need to work, and I need to work on this and I need to work on that, then you won't need to go to couples therapy. But if you do need to go, like, by all means go. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying don't use them as a referee. And the second
don't
thing,
don't co-sign to your partner. A lot of times, like, yeah, you do need to work on that. Like that's not helping anybody by making that statement.
I feel like those are the things that make people shut down, right?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
feel like people get together and they want to work these things out, because if they didn't, they wouldn't start the conversation. This is something
Right.
that they really want to work out. If you would humble yourself enough, and if you are a selfless person, then you would take into consideration that this other person is coming to me because they want to work this out.
Absolutely.
And they want this relationship to work. And so I want to be in this relationship and I want this relationship to work as well. I need to see what their needs are. And I think once we start going into relationships with the realization that this is not about me, but it's about how I can serve my significant other, then we would be in a better place, because we're coming into it not focusing on what I get out of it. Oh, I get a husband, I get this, I get that, I get the bragging rights, I get the dress, I get the party, I get the. And what a lot of people don't realize is after you got the ring and you can show off and do all of the things, that there comes a time where you move in and y'all got to settle and y'all got to mesh and y'all got to be together. Like now it's just you and the other person, right? So how do you go into that with all of the beautiful parts of just all of the things, all the attention that is bringing you, without understanding that you are here to serve that is your partner. Y'all serve each other, and together y'all face the world, right? So y'all are together y'all face the world. It's not me doing this and you doing that. It's togetherness facing challenges. So if we can realize that we're facing challenges together and don't let challenges come at us, right, to separate us, but let's bond together to push so we can work it together, then it would be so much better.
Absolutely. I appreciate you saying that. And I know the audience appreciates you saying that to them. So please look at those buzzwords, understand those buzzwords, and act accordingly. So as we end all our podcasts, trying to do something will keep you in the same place. But when you actually do something, your place has no limitations. I am your host, Lay Bloomer. That is my co-host, Harlan Brown. And we see you next week. Yeah.